Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today's video is part of the July Embossing Folder Friday Hop. We're going to be doing some stars and stripes. For my card today, I'm going to be using the embossing folder of the month for July 2022 that is called Geometric Stripes from Spellbinders. To be honest, this to me really looks like a beach towel, which means I will be doing that on an upcoming video. On this one though, I am going to stick with the theme, which is stars and stripes, and my thought is red, white, and blue, just like the thumbnail. So I'm going to be using a couple of inks on my panel and then running it through with an embossing folder. So I'm going to be using Suede Shoes from Catherine Pooler and some Candied Apple from Tim Holtz. The reason I'm doing two different brands is because it doesn't really matter what you use, right? I'm going to be using these two mostly because I know that they are still juicy. I've got other reds that are not as juicy. I've got other blues that are not as juicy. So I'm going to just go direct to paper and put some stripes on here. And these are going to be kind of thick, but you'll get the feel of some patriotic vibes by the time I'm done. Whenever you're using these different types of ink pads, you'll notice that the texture when you're putting them down on paper is a little different depending on what you're using. So this one, the blue from Catherine Pooler, does seem a bit, and it looks like I need to re-ink this one too, is a bit smoother than, say, the Tim Holtz, and that's because this is a foam ink pad and the Tim Holtz is a felt ink pad. Let's see if I can put some down here in the center without making a humongous mess. And I don't really mind that they are blending a little in the middle. I figure that's going to just give it a little bit extra, you know? Let's see if I can smooth out that jagged edge a little bit. Okay, so now I've got me some red, white, and blue stripes on my panel. To give it a little more interest though, I'm going to add some some water with my distress sprayer. I do like that look. Let's take a look at this, see how that's going to look. And this is just plain heavyweight cardstock. I'm not using any, I'm not using watercolor paper. Do need to heat that up a bit though, so hopefully it won't warp too much. So I'm going to grab out one of my heat guns. Okay, this one's got more splatter on there, so that's gonna be cool. Add some more embossing powder down. It is blowing it away because I'm going on this over the top, so I'm going to do one more time. Yep, I just put a lot more on there than I meant to. That's okay. So we'll have a big gold splatter right there. So that little test there tells me that heating from the bottom is a good idea when you have it just sticking to water. I do like that little splatter. And you do notice that this is now pretty much warped, but you know what? That is going to be okay. It's going to flatten out once I send it through my die cutting machine with that embossing folder. Next, I'm going to run this through my Platinum 6 and this cool embossing folder. Now, one thing you do want to take notice of, I'm going to pull it down a little bit. You want to make sure that you're using the right sandwich for your specific machine. Every machine is a little bit different, and Every machine is a little bit tighter or looser than the others, so you have to be careful with that. Otherwise, you could damage some of your plates. I have tried that. I have actually put too much pressure before going through one of my embossing folders. So you just need to be careful with it and do a gentle test before you fully commit and start putting everything through, because you don't want to damage your plates and have to replace them unless absolutely necessary, right? Let's take a look and see how this turned out. Now that is some pretty cool texture there. See that? It worked out fine, and it has basically mostly flattened out my panel, so that is good. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to put it on a regular A2 and leave a little bit of the white to the edge. I think that's going to look nice, which means I need to cut this down. Now we've got that cool panel in the background. So that's what I'm going to use for that. For my sentiment, I'm using a digital from DesignBundles, and if you watched my planning video from this past Monday, you saw that I made some stickers out of this. I had some spare stickers and then I couldn't find them. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to cut these out using a Spellbinders die. I'm going to use one of my ovals from the FLUTED Classics oval set to cut that one out. I'm not 100% sure on the size. This set has got a fluted frame, and then it's got a smaller and larger oval, so it goes on both sides. And I think this is actually a perfect fit. So let me go ahead and run that through before I change my mind. I did print out 4 of these in case I mess up on any of them, and I'll have a spare to go. And it looks like that cut out perfect. So that was actually the perfect size. Awesomeness. I went with the smallest. So what I could do is go with a larger one along with the fluted frame, and then that'll give a little bit of texture behind it. And I do have enough room on this scrap, so I'm going to go ahead and die cut that out. So I think the size is about right. However, I do think that the color is wrong, which is kind of cool because since we used inks for our background, I can just use those same inks for my circle here. And I think what I'm going to go with is that Suede Shoes. So I am just going to ink this up. And this also brings out the texture in that frame, that fluted frame area. But I think that is going to look much better as my sentiment. And because I love dimensions so much, I am going to pop everything up on my panel. I think what I'm going to do start off with is go ahead and matte my background, and then I can start assembling all the layers. And adding the foam is also going to help with any of that warpage that I've got from adding water to my panel. And since this one is edge to edge, I can use my surface there to line it up perfectly. So that looks awesome. Okay, so next I'm going to pop this little sentiment piece up on some foam onto that matting. And since this is thin foam, it doesn't really cause any kind of issues. Okay, gonna go ahead and I think 2 layers of adhesive of foam is good enough, so I'm just going to add some liquid glue to the back of this and put that in place. And then to finish things off, I'm going to use some sequins. These are from, this calls for confetti. It's called, the mix is called Old Glory. So it's got all the colors we just used on this card, and that's going to be a perfect finishing touch. So that's going to finish up this card for the Stars and Stripes July Embossing Folder Friday Hop. Hope that you enjoy this, and be sure to check out all of the other hoppers in the hop because I know they're going to have a lot of inspirational projects for you to see. Check out this playlist for some other videos where I'm using Spellbinders products, and you guys have a wonderful day. Remember, if I can make it, you can too. See you next time.